Important note, this is timeless and powerful wisdom that has influenced and improved the life of millions. Now that you just found it, you must install it deep into your subconscious mind. Read the description below this video and follow the links to choose among multiple options to aid you in achieving the optimum results you seek. The journey to success is just one decision away. Thank you for listening and subscribing to Top Mindset Growth Channel.
The science of self-mastery to getting rich. There comes a moment in every life where silence is louder than the noise. A moment when the world's distractions fall away, and you are left with one question echoing in the chambers of your soul. Am I the master of myself, or merely a servant to my fears? Wealth, true wealth, the kind that bends reality to your will, that answers your vision with substance, is not born from lucky breaks or the roll of some invisible dice. It is born from within, from the furnace of discipline, from the unrelenting force of clarity, from the sacred science of self-mastery. You do not get rich by chasing money. You get rich by commanding yourself, by bending your thoughts into instruments of power, by becoming a living magnet to wealth, because you've aligned your mind to a frequency that money understands. This is not philosophy. This is physics of the soul. Thomas Edison didn't stumble upon the light bulb through accident. He waged war against mediocrity. Over 10,000 failures, and yet his belief stood stronger than steel. Why? Because Edison had mastered the one man every rich person must conquer, himself. Self-mastery is not taught in schools. It is not handed down like an heirloom. It is forged, built through repetition, carved with focus, and sealed with intention. You are not poor because you lack resources. You are poor, if you are, because your thoughts are poor, because your habits are undisciplined, because your emotions are your master instead of your servants. You see, the greatest prisons are not made of bricks. They are constructed with thoughts, invisible chains wrapped around your potential. And the master key to all those chains, self-command. When a master mentors a young disciple, he does not offer him money. He offered him a challenge, a lifelong mission. Uncover the science of success, the code of riches, the formula that turns the average into titans. And the secret that emerged again and again, hidden in plain sight, was this: control yourself, and you can control your destiny. Every fortune is preceded by a decision, not a wish, not a daydream. A decision forged in silence, carried with conviction, acted on with unwavering faith. That is the language the universe responds to. There is no external wealth without internal order. Money does not stay with the disorganized. It runs like water from the hands of the weak-minded. But give it to the one who has trained himself in thought, in patience, in precision, and it multiplies. Walt Disney envisioned an empire before he owned a brick. His belief was so powerful, so complete, that it pulled animators, builders, bankers, even when he had nothing but a sketchbook and a dream. Because self-mastery gives you power over the intangible. And that's where all wealth begins, in the invisible realm of thought. But thought alone is not enough. You must discipline it. Like a wild stallion, the mind will throw you from your seat unless you learn to harness it. Every morning you wake up without intention, without direction, you hand your life over to chaos. You trade sovereignty for survival. Wake up with purpose, and you begin to bend the world to your will. Ford did not ask permission to change the world. He built an automobile empire from a mind governed by purpose. He mastered his inner world so completely that the outer world had no choice but to comply. That is self-mastery, when the world no longer dictates your pace, because you dictate your internal laws. You are not made rich by the economy. You are made rich by your response to it. Circumstance is neutral. It does not care. But your reaction to it, that is the birthplace of transformation. most react. The rich respond, most follow. The rich lead, most wait. The rich create. And what is the core difference? The science of self-mastery. You cannot master what you do not monitor. Self-awareness is your first weapon. Study your thoughts like a scientist. Every fear, every excuse, every doubt, label them, dissect them, destroy them, because those are the termites of your destiny. Left unchecked, they will eat the foundation of your future. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about." But what he didn't say loud enough is that most people do not think. They react, they absorb, they parrot. Thinking is work. Thinking with intention is war. And the man who wins that war inside himself, the world cannot stop him. Markets can crash, banks can fail, governments can fall, but his wealth, the true wealth, rises from within. Discipline is the engine of wealth. Without it, your ambition is a leaky vessel. You cannot pour gold into a cracked foundation. You must seal it with habits, cement it with rituals, fortify it with decisions made before the emotion kicks in. You do not need motivation. You need mastery. Motivation fades. It is a sugar rush. But mastery, that is blood and bone. It is the daily sharpening of your weapon. It is choosing the grind over the glow, the plan over the pleasure, the future over the fleeting moment. The rich think long, the poor chase short. Self-mastery is the ability to hold your vision in the fire of impatience and not flinch. It is staring down the seduction of comfort and saying, "Not today." It is breaking free from the invisible chains that bind 97% of the world to mediocrity, and doing it not once, but daily. Tesla, a mind so sharp it could split atoms of reality, lived in obsession. But more than brilliance, it was his discipline of thought that turned ideas into inventions. He knew what most ignore. Riches are simply energy, directed with precision. And what directs that energy? You. You are the conductor. Your thoughts are the baton. Your beliefs are the tempo. Your habits are the orchestra. And if they are out of sync, the music of your life will never rise into greatness. Do not envy the rich. Study them. Trace their wealth back to its origin. And you will find not luck, not inheritance, but a relentless mastery of the self. You will find clarity where others see confusion. You will find sacrifice where others seek shortcuts. You will find vision where others drown in distraction. You were not born to be average. You were not sculpted by the divine to live in quiet desperation. You are potential wrapped in skin. But that potential means nothing if you never learn to command it. The battlefield is not out there. It is within. And every time you silence a doubt, every time you override a distraction, every time you act from vision instead of reaction, you win a battle for your future fortune. Let others chase trends. Let them scroll. Let them complain. You build, you train, you rise, because riches will not come to the one who wants them. They will come to the one who has prepared himself to receive them. And preparation begins with mastery of the self. Self-mastery begins in the mind, but it does not end there. For thought without action is merely fantasy. A dreamer with no discipline is just a beggar with imagination. If you wish to be rich, not just in dollars, but in dominion over your own life, you must marry thought to movement. Clarity must lead to commitment, and commitment must translate to consistent, deliberate, focused action. When Wallace D. Wattles wrote The Science of Getting Rich, he didn't speak of luck or chance. He spoke of doing things in a certain way, not sometimes, not occasionally, but every time with full intensity. Because success is not a secret. It is a system. And self-mastery is the operating system on which that success runs. Your rituals are the architects of your reality. What you do when no one is watching builds the results that everyone else will see. The fortune is not in the dramatic act. It is in the discipline repeated 1,000 quiet times, the early morning grind, the controlled breath before anger speaks, the refusal to procrastinate, the small acts of power multiplied daily. That is how dynasties are born. You cannot beg the universe to give you what you haven't yet proven you can handle. If you cannot master your mornings, you will never master millions. If you cannot control your impulses, you will never command influence. The outside is merely a mirror of the inside. Look around you. Your bank account is a reflection of your patterns. Your relationships reflect your emotional discipline. Your health reveals your consistency. The world doesn't lie, it reflects. And if you don't like what it shows you, don't curse the mirror. Change the face you're putting into it. Charles F. Hannell once wrote in the Master Key System that wealth is a byproduct of law, mental law. He meant that riches are not some game of chance, but the natural result of causes you control. And the greatest cause of all, the self you choose to become. You cannot vibrate on the frequency of greatness while practicing habits of weakness. You cannot call yourself a king while living like a pawn. You cannot expect a harvest from seeds you never planted. The rich do not gamble. They engineer. They do not wait, they work. They do not wish, they will. What is willpower but the ability to command the self against the noise of the world? It is choosing what must be done over what you feel like doing. It is ignoring the clamor of doubt, of fatigue, of fear, and answering only to vision, to purpose, to the grand design you have chosen for your life. You must train your will as you would train your body. Repetition, resistance, resilience. Joseph Murphy taught the world that the subconscious mind is a servant. It follows instructions without question. But the tragedy is this: most people are terrible masters. They feed their subconscious fear, laziness, distraction, and then wonder why their life collapses into the same broken pattern. You must reprogram the mind by commanding it with new language, new images, new affirmations, spoken with intensity, repeated with belief, acted on with conviction. The subconscious mind is soil. If you plant weeds of worry, do not expect a harvest of wealth. So speak to yourself as one who is already rich. Think as one who already commands his future. Move as one who knows that what he wants is already in motion, drawn toward him by the magnetic pull of his unwavering certainty. Gratitude is the fuel for this magnetic force, not passive gratitude, the kind that waits until things go right to say thank you. Number powerful gratitude, preemptive gratitude, the kind that thanks the universe before the riches arrive, the kind that announces, I am already rich, and the world is simply catching up to the vision I hold. Every master of wealth understands this. Gratitude is not a feeling, it is a frequency. And when you tune your emotions to gratitude, you align with abundance. Ogmandino called gratitude the seed from which joy grows. And joy, when rooted in purpose, becomes power. Not the flimsy power of ego, but the deep, immovable power of certainty. But let's be clear, life will test you. That is not a punishment. That is the process. The fire that purifies the steel of your soul. Obstacles are not blocks on the path. They are the path. Because every challenge you face is custom designed to reveal your level of self-mastery. Do you react with panic, or do you respond with power? Do you fold under pressure, or do you rise into poise? Do you question your worth, or do you command your faith? Every storm reveals the structure of your mind. And if you are truly on the path to wealth, storms will come, because only the storm can show you where your foundations are weak. Resilience is not just the ability to bounce back. It is the discipline of rising higher after every fall. It is converting setback into strategy. It is the art of using defeat as data. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before he became president. Most would have crumbled. But Lincoln was not built on shallow ground. He had cultivated inner power so deep that external failure only fueled it. You must develop that same resilience. The unshakable resolve that says, I will not stop. I will not break. I will not be denied. I am the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. Adaptability is another trait of self-mastery. The rich adjust. They reinvent, they evolve. The rigid are broken. The flexible survive and thrive. Look at history. Those who clung to the past were swept away by it. But those who reinvented themselves with each wave of change rode those waves to new heights. The economy shifted and they adapted. Technology changed and they evolved. The market collapsed and they pivoted. Because true masters are not attached to how things were, they are devoted to what they are becoming. You must be willing to shed your old skin to step into the wealth that awaits you. Let go of the identities that no longer serve you, the stories, the excuses, the need for validation. You are not who you were. You are who you decide to become. And wealth is a decision. Not a dollar amount, not a house on a hill, but a decision to think, act, and live as one who is already rich, in discipline, in clarity, in control, in belief. Because riches are not something you chase. They're something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become is entirely up to you. There will come a moment in your journey when the world goes quiet, not because everything has fallen into place, but because you have finally fallen into place. Your thoughts no longer betray you. Your emotions no longer run you. Your actions no longer sabotage you. You have become a vessel of pure intent, a weapon forged in the fire of your own transformation. That moment, that inner stillness, is the gateway to true riches. Not just money, but mastery. Not just wealth, but worth. Not just fortune, but fulfillment. It is what Andrew Carnegie spoke of when he mentored Napoleon Hill. Any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought. Repetition. Not just in words, but in discipline, in intention, in aligned, intelligent, relentless effort. Carnegie understood that riches are born in silence, mental silence, then molded by faith and finally built through execution. Most people never get past the wishing phase. They wait, they hope, they fantasize, but you were not built to wish. You were built to will. There is a science to this, a structure, a sacred rhythm to self-mastery that leads to wealth. Control your thoughts, or they will control you. Discipline your actions, or they will betray your ambition. Align your inner world, or your outer world will remain in chaos. It is not talent that separates the rich from the broke. It is focus. It is certainty. It is relentless follow-through. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he brought light to the world. He didn't see failure, he saw data. He didn't stop to cry, he stopped to calibrate. That is what self-mastery looks like in the flesh. That is what it takes to illuminate your vision when the world is still dark. Every time you silence doubt with action, you are winning. Every time you choose the hard path over the easy escape, you are building the scaffolding of an unshakable life. Every time you say no to mediocrity and yes to your higher self, you are getting rich. This is the truth most men never hear. Wealth is not something you earn. It is something you embody. It flows to the version of you that has proven he can handle it. It bends to the will of the man who commands his thoughts like a king commands his army. It appears, not to the one who begs, but to the one who builds. You are not here to fit in. You are not here to survive. You are here to dominate your limitations, to rise above the noise, to carve your vision into reality with precision, purpose, and patience. Money follows value. And value is forged in silence, in discipline, in the invisible hours when no one claps for you, when no one believes in you, when even your own mind tries to whisper defeat. But you do not listen to that voice anymore. You've reprogrammed it. You've silenced it. You've turned that voice into a servant, not a master, because now you are the master of your thoughts, the master of your emotions, the master of your days, your rituals, your discipline, the master of your future. And because of that, you will be the master of riches. Let the others wait. Let them gossip, complain, distract themselves into oblivion. You are different. You move with clarity. You breathe with purpose. You act with power. And the world, slowly at first, then all at once, bends to your will. Not because you shouted, but because you showed up every single day. Aligned, disciplined, unshakable. Success is not an accident. Wealth is not a coincidence. It is science. And you are the equation. Now rise and become the proof. You must keep in mind the following. Repetition is the sculptor of your destiny. You will not become what you visualize once. You will become what you visualize consistently, daily, obsessively, until your brain starts adjusting your behaviors, your standards, your environment to match that inner self-image. That's not magic. That's biology. So listen this lesson again and again and again until it gets installed in your brain and in your subconscious mind, until you realize the results you seek.